Hey everybody, Jake Perez here with Onward, my weekly show dedicated to helping ordinary people live extraordinary lives. You can catch me right here live every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, as I speak with some of the world's most interesting people about a variety of topics, all dedicated to helping you change your life forever. My guest on the show tonight is Arnold Luster Jr. Arnold is a businessman, house flipper, and motivational speaker. However, when I say house flipper, I don't mean he saw an episode of Fixer Upper on HGTV and decided to give it a go. This guy has been in the game for the better part of 2 decades and was flipping houses way before it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
As impressive as that is, I'm bringing Arnold on the show tonight mostly as a motivational speaker. Arnold is one of those special guys who actually practices what he preaches each and every day. I love watching his motivational speeches live right from his job sites. And tonight I have the distinct honor to learn from him right here on Onward. Arnold Luster Jr., welcome to Onward.
How are you? How are you doing?
Man, I am doing wonderful. Glad to be
Great.
hanging out here with you.
Great.
Live right here on Onward, man. And so, you're up, I guess, in New Jersey, right? Been a house flipper. And like I said, so I don't talk about it a lot on this show, but one of the things I do is I'm a realtor.
Okay.
And I'm one of those, I probably got into real estate after watching too much HGTV, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But you've been doing this, man, for a long time. It's not like you saw Chip and Joanna and decided to jump in the game, but you've been house flipping for a long time. Is that right?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Cool.
I used to watch a show called Flip This House. That was a long time ago. And there was like a guy from North Carolina and a couple from Georgia, and so that kind of gave me the idea, But that I don't remember how long ago that was. But
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's cool, man. I mean, that's kind of what you do. That's your main jam. You do a few other things. That's your main deal. But we're not really here to talk too much. We can get into it a little bit, but we're here to talk about some things other than just real estate and house flipping, right? And
yes.
So I think we probably first hooked up maybe 3 months ago, and when I first got the idea of this show, I was live with a guy by the name of Kyle Dillinger, and
yes.
I think you jumped on. I had no idea who you really were, but you jumped on the show. Kyle and I were talking about quantum physics and a bunch of kind of cool stuff, and you resonated with some of that and jumped in, and we kind of been chatting a little bit ever since. And I started watching your stuff, and I was like, man, this dude, I got to find out more about this guy. He's bringing it. He's not only into that stuff, but he's living it. He's manifesting it in his business. That's why I brought you on, man. I want to talk a little bit about that tonight, and kind of talk about the success that you've had in life and how you got there.
Yeah. Just to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got started.
Sure.
I have a construction background, which I've been involved with for over 30 some years. And over a period of time, I became self-employed. And after the process of being self-employed, it was just over a period of time. I just saw that a lot of people I was working for, the things that they were doing and they were having success with. And I just started duplicating some of the things that I saw other people doing. I often say I never really had a mentor back then, but I had people around me that were doing things that in my mind I considered success.
Sure.
At different times in my life when I think about success, because you mentioned something about success. At different points in my life, my concept of success was different based upon where I was at that time frame.
Right.
Initially, my thought on success was, oh, it's the Lambo, it's the big yacht, it's the house, it's the But and it's kind of ironic. I have one of my nieces, because I have the type of family where we get together a lot on weekends, especially before COVID. And we're all getting together and we're eating and different things like that. And if I go too long, let me know, because I have stories.
You're good, man. You're good.
I have stories for everything.
I'm just here to listen and learn, man.
Okay.
I'll just
And one of my nieces was asking me, because we talk about success amongst our family and about different things everybody's working on, to try to be as encouragement and to uplift each other. And So my niece was there. We're talking. She said, "Well, Unc, what do you consider success?" And she asked me the question. It made me really sit back and reflect on it. And what I said to her, and this is probably like 4 years ago, I said, to me, success looks like, you fulfilling the fullness of the purpose that you were put on this earth to do. Mm. And what I mean by that is that all of us have a preset plan that was kind of put in motion for us. I know that we have choice throughout life, but there's things that we're supposed to go through within life. In other words, there's like maybe this show might take you to being on stage in front of thousands. I mean, I don't know, but I'm saying all of us have, I believe God, if I can use that and not offend anybody. Please do. When we were born for a reason. And part of that reason is, in this example, is if part of your purpose is to be a billionaire, because some people that's part of what they're born to do. If you're not doing that, then to me you're not being successful. If you're supposed to be the best mother that you can be, and you're not doing that, then to me you're not being successful. Success and to me it's not something that we can take and put in a box and make it fit everybody. Success is going to look like something different for me and you. That's why competing with other people, trying to be like other people, buying into all their nonsense, like this whole, if you get online, you see a lot of guys that are talking about success, and their definition of success is always tied into hard work. Yep. But I believe, just based upon some of the stuff that you were talking about earlier, based upon, quantum physics, based upon, studying some stuff by Dr. Joe Dispenza and stuff like that, I feel like when we get to certain places, then then it's not as much struggle, because we're operating from not only from physical realm, but we're operating from a spiritual place. And I don't want to get too crazy, but this is just what I believe.
Hey, let's go. That's why I brought you on, man. Let's get wild and crazy, man. That's what we're here to do. I'm with you, man. You said one word that really kind of stood out to me, and that's just purpose, right? And you kind of highlighted that your purpose is probably different than my purpose and the next person down the road, right? And a lot of that, and I'm in total agreement with you on that. How do we know what our purpose is? You probably got to get on your knees and look up and ask God what that purpose is, right? I mean, I kind of stumbled into this show. It's something I wanted to do for a long time, but it kind of came to me at a time when I was really seeking and trying to figure out what I was supposed to do with my life. And I taught history for a long time, and I love history, and there's a lot of value in learning history. But this show just resonated with me, man, and just talking about helping people get from point A to point B. And really, I think you might have just helped me define the purpose of this show a little bit more. And that is, helping people find their purpose in life, right? And that's good stuff, man.
That's a big one, because, I'm not a big one to watch a lot of TV, but I saw an interview, and Oprah was talking about that most of the people that come on that show, they ask her, that's one of the questions that she said that she gets asked all the time. Did I do a good job? And what do you think my purpose is? And so to me, I think that's part of that. I think that's part of the void within a lot of us, is trying to seek and try to find out, what are we here to do? Were you born just to get up every day, work a 9 to 5, have kids, eat a hamburger helper? You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. I mean,
right?
What else, what else? And that's part of the reason why I put those motivational videos up there. And even though I'm sweaty and I look crazy, and it's because I feel like maybe that's going to motivate somebody that's going through a tough time. They're looking at me. They're like, man, this guy is. I mean, some of them days, man, I'm just like, I'm dirty from head to toe, and I'm just like, I'm just trying to give people something I feel like it can help them get to the next step. And basically like your show. I mean, just trying to help people believe that they can take their life to the next level. That's the mindset. Yeah. That's it.
And for me, and that's where the idea came from, right? It's all about onward. It doesn't really matter where you came from. And this is true, I believe, good or bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people have bad in their past that they want to forget about. But sometimes we've got good in our past that we need to let go of also, and because we can't live back there, right? I mean, we live in the now, we live in the present, and we got to move on, and we got to continue to change and grow. And that's what this whole show is really about, is helping encourage people to move onward. I don't care how good or bad your life was back then. Let's go. There's things to do. And I love the fact that you brought the purpose word into the conversation tonight. It's really, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, I think, is helping people figure out what that purpose is. And if people don't know what their purpose is, then they're probably resigned to living that life, waking up, working that 9 to 5 or more, and eating that hamburger helper and wondering, like, what in the heck am I doing here? What the heck am I doing?
Yeah. When you have goals too, and this is something I've studied in the past. When you have goals, what it does, it gives people, it helps to give people some type of purpose or some type of direction within their life. When you do the study on that, because people that man without a vision or man without a purpose, he's going to basically, like you just said, he's going to give up. He's going to
Sure.
Because he has nothing inside of him that's pushing him to be his best, self. But go ahead, ask your next question, please.
No, I was just saying, you're a builder. I mean, you flip houses, but
Yes.
that's what you do. That's how you make your money. But at the same time, like you say, you feel like you're also a motivational speaker. I love the fact, man, that you're, like you say, you're out on those job sites, and I don't know what time it is. Sometimes it's 8:00 in the morning, it's 11:30 and later, or whatever. And you just pop on, man. You got, heavy equipment, moving dirt, tearing stuff down, and you're like, I'm on the job site, but then you got these messages, and you just bring these messages, man. And
Yeah.
I just love the positivity that you're sharing with people, man.
Yeah.
So I do have another question. I'm kind of curious, because you are, I mean, you're a humble guy, but to me, I think you've had a lot of success in your life, from what I can tell. And what do you contribute, to that success? I mean, do you have routines? Do you have habits? And I know I've seen some of your stuff, and you seem to be a very disciplined guy. Do you have a daily type routine that you follow or something like that?
Recently, I've become extremely disciplined. Before within the last 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
Before that, I had a lot of inconsistencies concerning a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like to be honest with people. I don't like to let people think that I'm something that I'm not.
Hey, I love it. Yeah.
But one of the things that helped me become more disciplined within my life is I set my clock at 5:00 every morning to get up and meditate. So every morning, regardless of if it's Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter what day it is, I'm up at 5:00 in the morning. What I found is that because I do that in the morning when I get up, and every night before I go to sleep. Because what I find that it's doing is it's making me more disciplined with my workouts, with the other different things that I'm doing. Even when I'm on the job, what I find is that when I don't want to push myself to do something, because I've created that discipline in that one area. So the thing that I would suggest to anybody on here, is that you have to find something, in regards of how difficult it is. You have to make a commitment to it. No excuses. Of course, you're going to have good days with that you're doing that. You're going to have bad days, because there's days when I meditate where I'm so groggy, which I don't feel like I get the benefit out of it. But the point is, I sit my tail end up in that bed. You understand what I'm saying? When that clock goes off, I go to Joe Dispenza, I hit the thing, I sit it down, and I sit up and I do it.
Yeah.
And even if I go to sleep, again, sitting up, the point is, if you condition yourself to do the thing that you don't want to do, over a period of time, you're conditioning to me, that's how you condition yourself for success. I heard a story by with Kobe Bryant a while back. Mm-hmm. And I think I mentioned this on a video that you watched, but him and Allen Iverson, I don't know if you're into sports or not.
Love it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Him and Allen Iverson, they were, they met up in California. They were doing some practicing and different things like that. And after the practice, they went out and they ate dinner and so on and so forth. After that, Allen was like, yo, man, let's go out to the club, this, that, and the other. Kobe was like, nah, man, I can't do that. Allen Iverson found out the next day that Kobe went back to the gym.
Wow.
And he talked about this story because he said, he saw the level of commitment he had to the thing that he was doing. You know, a lot of people are jumping on this whole thing of Mamba spirit or Mamba mentality, but it's a mentality of having of saying, you know, I want to be the best that I can be. You know, I watch different musicians and different people that play and that do different things because I get something out of them when they play. Like, you know, one of the musicians that I watch is a guy named Stevie Ray Vaughan. I don't know if you're into blues.
Yeah, love it.
When I watch him play, it's like he goes to another level, another place. And to me, I think that's part of my drive because I feel like there's different dimensions and levels that I can go to. And that's part of the reason why I started with the meditation, because meditation is something that I started or I would do for periods at a time, and then something would come up in my family or whatever, and then I'd stop, and then I'd forget about it, and then I'd read a book about it again, and then I would start it up again.
Yeah.
But no, this time it's total commitment. It's total commitment because it's starting to. I see how it's changing my life. You know, that in conjunction with what I believe spiritually is taking my life to me personally to the levels that I believe that I need.
I love it, man. And you know, again, the show is all about helping ordinary people live extraordinary lives, right? And I think, you know, unfortunately Kobe's not around anymore, but he was very vocal about the fact that maybe I'm not the most talented. I've got talent, but Kobe darn well wasn't going to let anybody outwork him, right? He was the first to the arena and the last to leave. And like you said, you know, he could hang out with AI, but instead of going pop bottles at the club, he's back at the gym, right? I mean, right? Yeah. How many of those guys who are sitting on the bench, right? They're the sixth man, the seventh man, eighth man on the bench, and they're out popping those bottles. They're like, I got enough money. I'm gonna go out to the club. I'm gonna get a little bit of love because I play for the Lakers or whatever it is. But Kobe's like, you can have that, but man, and it's that desire for excellence, right? I mean, that's what you're talking about. Whether it's Kobe or Stevie Ray Vaughan, I'm from New Orleans, so I love blues and jazz and all that kind of stuff, you know. So I mean, I'm with you, and you know, I adored Kobe as a person, as a player. I adored his work ethic. Also, I think of MJ. You know, I mean, Michael Jordan, when just the level of commitment. I mean, how many championships did Jordan get? You know, once he got to 4, 5, 6, 7. And he wasn't satisfied. He just kept stayed hungry, just wanted to be so good. And, you know, that's kind of what I heard you say to me about why you got really serious about your meditation practice, right? And that's one thing you and I kind of resonated on some time ago. I think maybe the very first show I ever did. And we're talking a little bit about meditation, and I'm still, man, I'm behind in the game, but I'm trying to catch up, right? I'm working on practicing meditation. I've read Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I'm approaching finish with his latest book, Becoming Supernatural. I love that meditation is. You feel like it's improving your life, but one of the big ways you're saying you feel like it's improving your life is it's helping you be more disciplined in your life. Is that right?
Yeah, because and it's like I said, discipline to me, it's absolutely one of the key elements that's needed for success. A lot of people talk about success, but that's one of the elements because it's going to require discipline requires that you do something when you don't feel like doing it. You know, all of us make a commitment and we say we want to do certain things in the spur of the moment when I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out, you know, the New Year's resolutions. I'm going to do this. I'm going to eat less fried food. But then after we make that verbal commitment, then there's things that come up in life that test that tries it out to see if you're going to keep your word or if your word was just something that you just threw out there. You know, to me, it's part of us being, you know, and all this stuff to me, it goes into us building up our image of ourselves, the way that we see ourselves. If I can't keep my word to myself, how can I believe that I'm going to keep my word to you or anybody else? How can I believe in myself?
That's so huge. That's so huge, man. I'm with you. And my big thing, just, you know, I just want to bring it here tonight. I appreciate you opening up. And, you know, my big thing that I've been working on in my meditations, Dispenza's meditations. Have you read his recent book, Becoming Supernatural?
No, I just wrote it down as soon as you said it.
Yeah, it's a pretty new book. I just got it not too long ago, and so I've been going through the book, been reading it. My girlfriend and I have been studying it together and trying to apply those principles. And one thing that he talks about, and it's a slight overlap, a little bit of a reiteration from his earlier work,
Okay.
but basically, one of the big things he talks about is the way that you change things in your life is you start with an intention, right? You figure out exactly what you want, and once you decide exactly what you want, be very specific about it. If it's
True.
a monetary goal or a weight goal or relationship goals or whatever it is. And so so he says start with your intention, and then in addition to that intention, you come up with an elevated emotion. So when you achieve that that intention, whatever it is, what is it going to make you feel like, right? And so he talks about basically going in using meditation to go in and reprogram your subconscious or your unconscious thoughts, right? Because
Yes.
on the show last week, we were talking about the fact that 90% of what we do day to day is just part of unconscious programming, right? And so if we don't like where we are, the best way to change it is to go in and change that unconscious programming, right? And so one of the things for me that I have been doing is when my intention, I started with, certain health goals or money goals or, things like that. I kind of started. And then the more I went, the more I morphed into, hey man, there's a couple of things within me. And one of the big things that keeps coming up for me is discipline. And I just because I really do see discipline, man, as being the key to success. There's a lot of different things that successful people do, but one common denominator that virtually every successful person is going to have is a lot of discipline, right?
A lot of discipline.
Whether it's music or it's they're an author or even podcasts, Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, some of the best podcasts in the world. They're disciplined in their craft and what they do, and they're committed to it, man. And so that's a huge thing for me. Is a big intention for me is I just want to be way more disciplined in my life. And so I love that you shared with meditation. You feel like that's helping you be more disciplined. 7 days a week, right? 7 days a week you're meditating. 5 o'clock, alarm goes off and you're meditating.
7 days a week.
I love it, man.
I got my wife on board. She's laying in the bed next to me. I'll hit that button. She's starting to get up with me now too.
All right. I love it, man. And you're not hitting.
5 o'clock was tough, but now my body naturally wakes up. By the time you do something 30 days, 40 days, whatever it is, your body, there's mornings that your body's just going to wake up.
Yeah. And some of that, I'm talking about 90% of what we do is in subconscious programming, or unconscious programming. So, if a lot of it's just resetting that wiring, right? Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was talking to you about earlier. When you're talking about our subconscious part of our mind, if as we're retraining that thought process, this is why I don't believe success is as difficult as people say. It's just a process of retraining my mind to think different than I've thought up to this point, because my thoughts up to this point haven't gotten me what I want. That's obvious, because when I look around, I still don't see, the end result. But it's like you said, those emotions, actually feeling what it feels like, to walk into that, whatever it is, to walk on that stage, because I've seen myself on stages. So that feeling of walking on that stage, hearing that, feeling that feedback, what does that feel like? I have to put myself in. You have to put yourself in those spots, So when I went and saw a guy named Grant Cardone. I don't know if you know who he is.
Uncle G, baby.
Yeah. I saw him like 2 years ago, 3 years ago in Vegas. He had a conference for like 3 or 4 days. And just sitting in that atmosphere, it brought me to that same feeling. It's like you're saying, it's just basically what you just said. We have to put ourselves in places or in things that get into that feeling. So what I do is sometimes when I'm in those type places, I'll record it. I take my camera out and I record what I'm feeling. So then when I get home later or sometime later, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and then I play the video of where I was. It helps me get into that feeling of what I want. I love the ocean. I love the bay, and I love being around water, and I love the serenity. I love being out on the water fishing because of the peace. So I'll go down to the bay because it's not that far from where I live. I'll tape record the sound to help me get into that mood. Help me create that atmosphere in my mind, because if I can keep putting that in my mind over a period of time, because this is all based upon us getting to a place where we believe what we're asking for. Yeah. Whether you're asking the universe or you're asking God or whoever, when we get to the place where we believe that what we're asking for, we're going to receive, it's done. Yeah. It's a bottom line. The bottom line is it's done. You know, so the hindrance isn't anything else, but we have to look at ourselves. We got to take full responsibility for it, for where we are and what's going on or not going on. And we got to say, you know what? Okay, I'm not happy with this, but you know, it takes us getting to a place where we're pissed, where we're a little bit aggravated. And we're saying, you know what? Enough is enough. Okay, enough is enough. I'm ready to take my life to the next level. You know, because where I'm at, you know, because right now, you know, I have 3 sons. You know, I have 3 sons. I have a wife. My sons are starting to have kids. So now I have grandkids coming. Right. I have three, I don't know, 2 or 3 grandkids. I lose track. I lose track. So what it's doing is it's giving me a different vision, because not only am I thinking about myself now, I'm thinking about generations. How can I have a powerful impact on my generation? So it's gotta be, so and back to, if I can say one more thing about discipline. For sure. You know, with raising my sons, one mistake that I made, for any parent that's on here, is that I always looked at discipline as correction, instruction, things like that. I didn't really look at it in the format of getting some task or something that you're doing and staying on point with whatever that is. You know, there's certain things that I did with them and I made them do. Like, I have a son that's a musician. He plays bass, he plays keyboards, and so a bunch of different stuff. And when he was like young and 12, like 11, 9, 10, 11, 12, I would make him go in the room and practice. But there's other things that in other words, I would use it sometimes, but I didn't teach it to them across the board. And I think if I had done that, that's the one thing that I would have changed, because I wouldn't have just looked at discipline as just a correction. I would have looked at it as a way that I can teach them to be great and to do something that's beyond, you know, because sometimes we put limits on things based upon age and based upon just our own ignorance, you know. So,
man, I love that. And I want to come back to that, something you said. This is good stuff, dude. This is why I'm doing the show, man. I just get to sit here and learn and listen and bathe in it, man. I love it. You know, you brought up Uncle G, right? And I'm going to go back to that for a minute. He's an old Louisiana boy. I grew up in around New Orleans. He grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I don't know if you knew that. Okay, before he moved out to LA and whatnot, out to Cali. And now he's over in Florida, but anyway, but he wrote a book that called "Be Obsessed or Be Average." Be obsessed or be average, and you know, and to me, and I'm sure you know, a guy like yourself is the same thing. I mean, some people are like, just okay to be okay or whatever. I mean, man, I got so much growth I want to do. I want to change. There's so many things about myself I want to change, but it just makes me sick to think about allowing myself just to be average and not to push myself. And, you know, I mean, we all got our different things, right? And I'm not Kobe and you're not Kobe and whatever, but you're Arnold Luster Jr., right? I'm Jake Perez Jr. And God put us on this planet. He gave us a purpose, and whatever that purpose is that God gave to us, we need to go do it, man. And we just can't sit on our hands and watch from the sideline, man. You know, to use another sports analogy, man, I know you do, and I want the ball, man. Give me the ball. Let me go. Let me go.
Put me in, coach. Put me in.
Put me in. I'm ready. I want to go, you know.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it. And I want to come back to one other thing, you know, that you were talking about. And, you know, Grant's had amazing success, but I'm going to kind of get off of that. Grant Cardone, I'm going to get off that for a minute. But one thing you said was the fact that whatever it is that we desire and we want, I believe God's put those desires in our heart, right?
True.
That's where they come from, and a lot of our desires, if we really will listen, is kind of like a guidepost as to where God's leading us, right? Like we're being drawn to certain sorts of things, and
True.
I don't exactly know how I got started with this show, but I was just drawn to help people in some way or another, and so kind of got there. But one thing I'd like to talk a little bit more about is you said that whatever it is that we desire, our intentions, they're already there. We
Mm-hmm.
already have them. And whether you said whether it's God or whether it's the universe, if we just believe and it's and we just got to kind of tune into it because there's so many, whether you're talking about metaphysics or you're talking about the Bible, it all kind of comes back to the same thing, man. We got to have faith. We got to figure out what it is that we want or what our purpose is, or get in line with our purpose. And then we just got to have some, I mean, would you call it faith? What would you call it? How do we get those things out of the spiritual world, that we see with our spiritual eyes, and how do we make those things real? How do we manifest them in our everyday life? Can you talk about that for a minute?
I would definitely say that it's faith. It has to be. It has to be a level of belief. A belief.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with a belief in ourselves, a belief in a power outside of us or within us, and it starts with us believing that we can accomplish and do what we're trying to do or attempting to do. So belief, to me, belief is the biggest thing, because I mean, most of us, or a lot of people, when you talk to them, they come from difficult backgrounds, and a lot of those difficulties, I've told this to people for a long time. A lot of the difficulties that we came through, it's not, they're there to me to make us, to refine us, to build us, to strengthen us, to create a level of belief in us, because then we have a track record of coming through certain things. And I said this like maybe a month back. I said it closer to the time when COVID first happened. I said that, regardless of what's going to go on and what's going to happen, I'm not really concerned about it. I said, because I come from having nothing. So I'm not afraid to, for there to be something, a disaster or anything to go on. And I'm not saying that I'm predicting it. I'm just saying that I'm not afraid of these things going on, because I know what it is not to have anything. I know what it is to struggle. I know what it is to try to start a company. I know what it is to not have a mentor. So every step of the way, I had to learn things. I had to believe. I had to, even for me to take my business to where it is, to the next level, to different projects that I'm looking at. There's a level of fear in me, or in all of us, when we look at that next step, because we're looking at the numbers on something, or we're looking at the financial responsibility or the payment on something or whatever it is, instead of understanding that, even Grant says it all the time. And I'm just using that as an example. He said that if he lost everything, because he's already gone through the process, and this is where all of us are, we're in the process. Once he went through the process, he knows that if he lost everything, he can gain it back, because he's already been through it. He's already done it. He knows what it takes to get to that next level. So to me, that's part of it. It's part of us getting to the place where we really, 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 really believe. Not say we believe, because many times we say we believe, or I say I believe, and I don't really believe. And I know a lot of the beliefs that I have to work on are based upon my background, where I came from. I grew up in a ministry back when I was a young kid. That was a very it was a type of ministry, and I'm not somebody that has negative things to say about where I came from. I look at it as a place that I had to go through to get to where I am. But it was a very it was a type of belief where, be humble. You don't need any more. That's enough. Be satisfied with what you have. That was kind of the teaching. And there's nothing wrong with that. That was based upon the people that were leading it, their education level, what they knew and where they were.
Sure.
I knew as a kid sitting in that seat in the church, as a kid growing up, 12, 10, 8, whatever. And I would listen to these people, and I'm sitting there thinking, that's not going to work for me. That's not going to work for me. In my mind, I wouldn't say it out loud because I wouldn't be disrespectful. But in my mind, I said, no, that's not going to work for me. Because like you said, there were certain things that were already innately inside of me, desires inside of me, that I knew, because I was attracted to the bling, all the things that were out there. I was attracted to, I had friends of mine that they had shore houses and a regular house. And I'm thinking, well, my mom and dad, they have one house and they have a small house. I'm thanking God for it. I'm thankful for it.
Right.
But when I would see what they had, I was like, wow, man. It made me dream. It put some. It showed what was already inside of me. So it's like you're saying, the thing that's inside of you, it gets illuminated, or it gets stirred up or magnified or whatever when you're in certain places. So but belief is the key. We have to believe.
Belief is huge, man. And and one thing I kind of want to look at here is, I think we go through steps, we go through phases, right? I mean, Kobe wasn't dunking a basketball when he was 8 years old, right? Just to go back to that thing, and we know if you follow Jordan at all, we know that he got cut from his seventh grade basketball team or something. He could have given up, right? But so many times in life, we've all done it at some point. We look for the easy way out. Right? We don't want to do that hard thing. We just want to take the easy road. But those things, the difficult things, are there not just to be difficult, but to make us better. Right? So I heard somebody say once that, it doesn't get easier. I just get better. Right? And that's where things like setting your alarm for 5 o'clock every morning, you get up, you discipline yourself to meditate, or whatever it is that you're doing. The more that we teach ourselves to do hard things, again, life doesn't get any easier. We just get better at doing hard things.
Wow. Woo, I needed that, man. That was awesome, man.
That's what we're here for, man. Do you know David Goggins? Are you familiar with that guy? He wrote a book called The Navy SEAL.
Yeah, I just got familiar with him this week. I saw one of his videos of his life story. And the difficulties he went through. That's the first video I've actually ever seen of him this week.
This guy, I guess I heard of him some time ago, but this guy, man, he's crazy hard, man. And he just says, do hard stuff every day. Right. And so with the whole meditation thing, I mean, I'll tie a couple of ideas here together, but I've been looking at breathing exercises and deep breathing. My girlfriend has a show as well. And she was just talking about the importance of deep breathing yesterday on her show. And so, I looked up Wim Hof. Are you familiar with Wim Hof? You've heard of the Wim Hof breathing. So I did it last night for the first time, right? I looked it up. I actually found Wim Hof on YouTube, and went along with his breathing and whatnot. And this guy, they call him the Iceman, right? He runs marathons in like stupid cold weather, in just shorts and shoes, like stuff that would literally probably kill normal people, right? And, I mean for real, right? I mean,
you're right.
But Goggins is also just kind of, nuts from a normal perspective. But to go back to Goggins for just a minute, he was a Navy SEAL, but it wasn't like he grew up this amazing athlete or anything like this. When he decided, he tells the story basically, he was, I don't know, he had some job like doing pest control or something. He was 300 pounds, and he was like drinking milkshakes every day, and he's like, what in the heck am I doing with my life? And he saw something about Navy SEALs, and he was like, I think I want to try that. And this is just crazy nuts, man. Within like 3 months, he had to lose like 106 pounds to even try out for the Navy SEALs, right?
Yeah.
And he did it. He just went ahead and did it. And the whole point really is just that, most people are too afraid to tap into the human potential. They're okay with being a little bit better than just, average, or they're okay with being average, and they're not worried about tying into that human potential. So for me, I am super interested, and man, I've run a couple marathons, things like that, but I have not even begun to scratch the surface in my own life in terms of what I can, achieve, not just for me, for Jake Perez, but what can I demonstrate as a human being that God's put me on the earth? What can I do? What can I, how many lives can I change if I get on the gas and don't back off? If I decide that I'm going to be the disciplined person in my life and go all in on achieving whatever purpose God has put on my life, man, That excites me, brother.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That excites me, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, so we've talked a little bit so far. We said we've got to figure out what our purpose is. I mean, to recap a little bit what we've talked about so far, we've got to figure out what our purpose is. And then
Hmm.
once we figure out what our purpose is, cool, like we kind of know where we're headed, but without that, next we gotta have some discipline and put it in action, right?
True. True.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I love that. How long you been meditating every day, man?
About 2 months.
About 2 months now. It's
Yeah.
making a big difference to you.
Significant difference. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it affects every area of your life once you start doing it. And then
Yeah.
it makes you more cognitive of even like, because of course you're dealing with the chakras, your energy centers. So it makes you more, or me, it makes me more cognitive of what I'm saying, what I'm seeing, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
if I'm
Okay.
get, if I'm getting an instinct in my solar plexus, it's making me more aware. Like if I hear if a thought comes to me and says, "Go back to your house and get your boots," instead
Hmm.
of in the past just keep continuing to drive, I'll say, "Okay, let me turn around and get my boots." Because then I don't want to get to where I'm getting and I need the boots and I didn't pick them up. I mean, just little small things like that. I'm trying to be more clear, because to me, I think we get a lot of messages throughout days, and a lot of times we don't hear just the little small things. We're not focused. To me, I'm not focused enough to hear the
Hmm.
small things because of a
Hmm.
lot of the stuff that I have going on, because I have a lot of projects and stuff that I'm doing.
Sure.
So there's times that I'm all over the place.
Hmm.
So just getting to a place where you can hear those small things, those directions. So that's the kind of stuff where I see the major difference.
Okay, I love that. I love that you brought up the chakras, and I know
Hmm.
we've talked about Dispenza's teaching, and I want to come back to that a little bit. But you're talking about like an intuitive awareness kind of thing, right?
Yes.
That little voice, and again, we've got people on one side, the personal development side, the meditation side, the spiritualism side,
Hmm.
who are trying to tie into that third eye kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
And that gets into the chakras. I guess that would
Hmm.
be like the fifth one, or the fifth energy center, the intuitive awareness kind of thing. But then in the church, we also talk about, hey, listen, because the Holy Spirit speaks to you, right? And
Yeah.
and what I'm finding, and you grew up in the church. I mean, Arnold Luster Sr. Was a pastor, right? I mean, your father was a pastor, is that right?
Yes. Hmm.
And so we both have that church, that Bible background, the
Hmm.
understanding that God created all of us and gave us a
Hmm.
purpose, and we
Yeah.
understand that the Holy Spirit speaks to us. But I've been so interested in how these two things, maybe it's the same thing. That's what I keep thinking and keep discussing.
Hmm.
Maybe it's the same thing. We're
Yeah.
calling it something different,
Yeah.
right? but
Yeah.
but but I'm feeling like it's just the same thing, man. And even I think people are seeing God, even if they don't believe in God, and whatever. This isn't necessarily a religious show, although
Yeah.
I'm a Christian, I believe in God. But
Hmm.
I think that some people are seeing God and they're understanding God principles, or principles that God has put into place, whether they're acknowledging it's God or not. Maybe they're saying the universe, maybe they're saying this, that, or the other. Dispenza doesn't really talk about God. He talks about the quantum field and being able to create when we go into the quantum field. But I think when we get into that quantum field through meditation, I feel like we're getting close to the throne room of God, whether we understand that's where we are or not. You have any thoughts on that? You agree with that
I,
idea?
I totally agree with that. That's part of the reason why I really started taking meditation serious, because I feel like that my beliefs had gotten me to a point, and I feel like this was the extra piece that was needed. That's what I felt. So that's
Hmm.
why when I watched your show that day, I was thinking, wow, because I had just I was kind of studying it, and I was starting and I was doing, and then so I caught a little bit of your show, and I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. But I don't believe in too many coincidences now. You know,
Right.
for whatever reason. I mean, I don't even know if we were friends, but I somehow know that I've seen your show, and I don't think I'm friends with that other guy either.
Right.
Jake,
Right. Yeah.
because you're Jake, and he was Kyle something, right?
Kyle, yeah, Kyle Dillinger, and I have no idea. And of course, your name didn't pop up. It was your building company, right? I think is
Yes,
your
yes,
Facebook name.
yeah.
And so I didn't even really I couldn't even pick up on the name or anything. I just knew you were there, and you're kind of jamming on it, and I knew like I kind of knew right away. I was like, man, this guy, we're kind of on the same vibe, man, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
real glad to get you on the show and kind of vibe with you on this tonight.
yeah.
But I think it's the same stuff, man. It just
I
points
do
back
too.
it points back to God.
Yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
Matt Maddox, I don't know if you know who that is. Caleb, you're probably, you know who Caleb Maddox is.
No.
He was okay. It's okay. He's in the same realm that Grant Cardone and all those people are. Matt is his father. Matt told me once he felt like, or not he felt like, but that I haven't looked this up, but I'm taking it for face value that the Bible talks about meditation 42 times.
Wow.
42 times. That's, and I feel like in the church a lot of times meditation gets a bad rap, and so that's why one of the things I'm trying to do here is, in addition to helping people understand, hey, look, you're put here, God put you here for a reason. There's a purpose for your life, and we need to get serious about figuring out that purpose and going after it, right?
Hmm.
But I also there's a unifying factor I like to bring about on this show, because I just feel like, you know whether we're talking about spiritual differences or cultural differences or whatever it is, I feel like most people are way more alike than what they are different, right? And I've
True,
tried to,
true.
I've kind of tried to highlight that. And man, I remember, a couple months ago, the world was going nuts, right? And COVID's breaking out, and
Hmm.
people are like, think the world's coming to an end. And I look
Hmm.
at Facebook, and there you are, like on the job site. Hey, people, everything's gonna be okay. We're out here. We're working. Things are good, man. And I just want a space here where some positive people can come together and jam and put people in the on the path, because a lot of people are struggling it's part of the human condition that people struggle, but especially right now a lot of people are struggling. Do you have any advice for people if somebody's watching tonight, maybe they're struggling in their life, they feel like they're undisciplined, they're not making the money they want to make, or their relationships are bad? I mean, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's struggling? I mean, what's step one? What do they do to pump the brakes and turn the car around the other direction, man?
I mean, one of the first things that all of us have to do is we have to get clear on what we want. It's said all the time, but it's true. We have to actually get clear on what they want. And one of the things that I do, and I was even doing it today at lunchtime, is I get a notebook. I have a notebook in my truck, and I just start writing out things, just to empty my mind, because writing is one of the things, it's like therapy for me. Along with meditation, I do a lot of or I try to do a lot of writing. I don't write all the time, but when I get that inspiration, I write, or I jump up and I real quick do a video. But you have to get clear on what you want. If you want a better relationship, you got to know what a healthy relationship looks like. Part of to me, a healthy relationship. I've been married for 28 years.
Wow. Congrats
Yeah.
on that, man.
Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that I have the perfect relationship. I'm just saying that
I'm gonna get your wife on this show and check her out on the other end.
yeah, that's fine. But part of being married and being in a relationship is there's different parts and pieces to it. One of the parts is you have to know who you are as a person. And there's other things we can talk about, but I'm just hitting this real quick. You have to know who you are as a person. You have to be comfortable with who you are. You have to know what you have to be a person that's willing to communicate. It has to be a give and take. It's constantly, being a person that's giving and open, and and this is why I often tell people that want relationships, if you're not willing to do all those things, then stay single, because you don't have to give anybody anything you don't want to. You can, keep everything yourself, right? But marriage is open. I mean, if it's one-sided, to me, it's not a relationship. It's abuse. Anytime one person is in charge and they're the one dominating something, that's abuse. It's not give and take. It's not mutual. I mean, that's just the way I feel. You know, and it's the same thing with, you know, with anything that we want to do. We have to get in alignment with that thing. You know,
Mhm.
if you want to make more money, um, start keeping some money on you. Get, you
Mhm.
know, even if it's $1,000 or $2,000, and just pull it out every now and then and look at it and touch it, or go on Pinterest or one of those places, and they got guys on there that got stacks of money they're sitting on, or they got gold, or they got this, or they get some of that stuff and look at it. If you
Mhm.
look at it, you're going to start getting the energy of it.
Mhm.
We have to be in alignment with what we want. That's one of the main things that I'm learning from Joe, what Joe is teaching, is
Mhm.
that, you know, a lot of times we want things, but the whole time we're saying that we want it, we're counteracting it based upon our actions, our thoughts, our deeds, the way we're thinking, what we're saying,
Mhm.
what we're doing, everything that we're saying, we're doing, we're thinking, we're acting, we're feeling. To me, everything has to be in alignment. It has to be one mind, one purpose, one goal. This is why, again, it goes back to, we have to be clear. Be clear
Mhm.
on what you want, and then know why you want it. Why do you want
Yeah.
what you want? To me, and when we were talking about success earlier, you know, one more definition that I would give, because the age that I'm at now, where I'm at in as far as work wise, to me,
Mhm.
success now is just being comfortable, having more than enough, and then still be able to put stuff away for my grandkids. You know, I don't need a 600-foot yacht or nothing like that. I don't. I don't. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
I still might get a Lambo though. You know what I'm saying?
Hey
Let me
man.
stop. Let me stop.
No, I'm not gonna hate on a Lambo, man, at all. I get it. I get it. Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
one thing that you said that's just that's so poignant, man, is just the idea that I guess you were kind of, you didn't use the word, but you're describing the law of attraction, vibration,
Oh, okay. Okay.
right? Right.
Okay.
And so though Joe doesn't use the language, or he doesn't say the law of attraction a lot, he talks a lot about that the things that we basically attract things to ourselves, our future desires, the things that we are intending that we want, whether it's a Lambo or a good relationship or whatever it might be, that we've got to get ourselves on a vibrational frequency
A
that
match. A match.
a match, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he talks about heart coherence, right? And
Mm.
we've got to get our heart and our mind in coherence, right? Understanding and feeling that we have certain intentions, desires that you and I would argue probably come from God. And
Mm-hmm.
when we get in line with that and we begin to understand that we are worthy of it and it's something that we're supposed to have, then
Mm-hmm.
we begin to elevate our frequency. Then it's no longer, Joe talks about, trying to, so many people try and change matter with matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, you know, uh, basically, the way that the better thing to do is to change our frequency, to change our emotions, our elevated emotions, to match those intentions. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Once you
Mm-hmm.
decide what your intentions are based on your purpose, then you've got to get those elevated emotions working so that you believe that not only are you supposed to have it, but you believe you already have it, even though
Yeah.
you can't see it, right? I mean, the Bible tells us that faith is calling those things that are not as though they
So we
are,
are.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally in line with what Dispenza teaches about, kind of visualizing, right? So you're talking about getting a clear picture of exactly what we want, of exactly what our intentions are. And once we have that clear picture, then we begin to, like you said, you want to vibrate, you kind of want to get on the same frequency um, with the money or the good relationship or whatever it is, that we're kind of seeking in our lives, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, you're totally good, man. You're totally good. Yeah, so it's just kind of law of attraction, right? But we've got to believe, the Bible talks a lot about it, but we've got to believe that we're worthy of receiving those things, right? Those desires. I mean, what would you say to someone in terms of, I mean, how do you build a belief? I mean, do you have any ideas about how you build a belief? how you build faith.
Building belief. Oh, good Lord.
Or building faith, right? I mean, because a lot of times people, like you said, sometimes we lie to ourselves and we say, well, I think I want this, and we figure out what our intentions are. But why do we have certain intentions about what we want, but we don't see them manifest, we don't see them happen, is because we don't necessarily believe that we're going to get them, or believe that we deserve them.
Yeah, well, many times people, if we don't believe, it's manifested by us not at least taking action.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the signs that you do believe is that you start taking action on what you say that you want. So if we're not in the phase of taking action, doing something towards what we're saying that we want, and the more action that we're doing, to me, the more it helps us to believe, because it, over a period of time, it's like you just said. I mean, yeah. Through our actions, we're going to start feeling like, I deserve this. I deserve to achieve this. I'm getting up 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm doing this. So we start convincing ourselves of why this should happen for us, especially when we know that others maybe aren't doing the same thing that we're doing, the sacrifices, the disciplines, the dedications, the commitment. So over a period of time, to me, we put ourselves in a place where things just it has to happen, whatever it is,
I love that. And that's the answer. That's it right there. How do we build belief? A lot of times I think we're waiting for faith, or we're waiting for confidence. And sometimes people just want to sit there, right? And they just want to sit on the couch and pray, or sit on the couch and believe. But really, so I asked the question today, on a post about, what is the secret of success, or is there a secret to success? And so, one person said that success is a reaction to action. And
Wow.
Success is a reaction to action. And that's exactly what you just framed. You didn't use that exact terminology, but that's exactly what you said. How do we improve our belief? How do we improve our faith? We just take action, right? And I know you've been an entrepreneur for a long time in the physical world, the brick and mortar world. I got a lot of friends who are digital entrepreneurs on the internet, and one of the things I've heard a lot from those people, or especially people who've had success, they say, you've got, what advice do you have for someone starting out? Fail fast.
Yeah.
Because we're all going to go through failure, right? We're all gonna have adversity, and if we think that the path to success is easy and we just do 1, 2, 3 and it equals ABC, we're terribly mistaken.
Yeah.
We've got to, and it comes back to having that discipline, having the desire for excellence, being obsessed with excellence, right?
Yeah.
So that we don't want to be average. And when we just start taking those steps, and I think, and I'm going to speak for myself right here, and other people can, draw whatever conclusions they want. But for me, I know one thing that's held me back a lot in my life is fear of failure. And so what happens is, it's real easy to conceive of ideas and to think about, I want to do this or I want to do that. But then to get up and take the action steps that's going to make it happen, a lot of people get stuck. I believe a lot of people get stuck there because they're afraid to maybe fail.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that helped me with that is that I heard I believe it was Steve Harvey say a while back that when the thing that we want becomes more discipline, or more important, or more urgent than the fear, then we'll do it. And I use the example of when I first started dating. When I first started dating, years and years and years ago, I was terrified, man, because I had 2 older sisters, and they used to hammer guys on the phone when they would call their, what? I don't know. Leave me alone. Stop calling me. So I'm sitting there I'm like 12, 13, whatever. I'm sitting there and I'm watching. So, but by the time I was trying to really interested in dating, 16, 17, whatever, I was like, oh God, if I got to go through that, I'll never do it. But the process is, you go through the process. You You find out if someone's attracted to you or whatever it is. But it's that's, to me, if we take that same process, because we've already all of us have already been through this process. Most of us that have been married or that's dated someone. Mm-hmm. So we've been through the steps. So all it is looking at the steps and then repeating that in business, mm-hmm. repeating that in mm-hmm. another relationship, repeating that in health and fitness, whatever it is. Mm. So if we're afraid to do something, you still did the action because you wanted the end result, right? The end result was the relationship, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So you still approached, you still took the chance, right? Because at some point, as you kept doing it, your mindset, if you were anything like me, they can only say yes or yes.
I love it. They can only say yes or yes. I love it, man.
Right?
I love it. Yeah.
That's the way I feel in business. They can only say yes or yes, I
love it, man. And at the end of the day, I don't know if you are a Gary V guy or not, or if you've seen any of his stuff, but, he says a lot. We only get one at bat, man. I mean, yeah. That's it. Like however many days, months, years God blesses us with on this planet, that's it, man. I mean, we don't want to, I was a big baseball guy growing up, and I was a pretty good hitter, but I was always taught, my dad coached my teams growing up and whatnot. And I was just always taught, man, never, ever, ever strike out looking. Go down swinging, man.
Yeah.
Go down swinging, man. You got two strikes, anything close, you're hacking at it, man. It's mm-hmm. okay if you strike out. Mm-hmm. It's okay if you fail, but it's not okay to just sit there and watch the ball go by and you don't swing at it, man. And that's life, man. We get one at bat. We only get one shot at it. And I just want to encourage people, myself. I'm pumped up right now, man. I'm getting encouraged just talking to you, man. But I want to encourage people watching this show, man, and don't settle for average. We only get one shot at this thing, dream the craziest big dreams you ever can think of and go after it. If they don't happen, that's okay, but go down swinging, man.
Yeah. We're on the same page. That's where my thoughts are.
I love it, man.
I appreciate you inviting me on this show, man. This is,
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd gotten away from this for a little bit because my schedule was just so tight because maybe I think it was like 6 or 7 months ago, I was on here almost every single night, and I was doing a lot of real estate shows, but it just was overwhelming. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Well, man, look, I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight, Arnold. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with you, talking God, quantum physics, success, Grant Cardone, Uncle Joe, all that stuff, man. It's been a lot of fun. So I appreciate you coming on, Arnold. Let's keep up with each other, and let's swing for the fences, man.
All right, sounds good.
All right, brother. Thanks for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching Onward tonight. Again, we're here with Jake Perez. I'm been hanging out with Arnold Luster Jr. It's been a great time tonight with you, my man. Thank you, guys, and good night.
All right. Thank you.